Are you looking for your first home, but you're not too sure where to start? Or maybe you're just looking for a few pointers on where you should be looking and what you should be doing to get started. Well, today I'm bringing you 5 real estate tips for buyers. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Brandon here, aka your favorite Minnesota realtor, and today I'm going to be giving you guys 5 real estate tips for buyers. But first, before we get started, please make sure to hit the subscribe button below, blah, 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 blah. You guys already know, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so starting off with tip number 1. Do your research beforehand. So don't wait until your lease expires 2 months from now to start the home buying process. You really want to start the home buying process as soon as possible. So even if you're still a year out, you want to start watching YouTube videos like you're doing right now. If there's any home buyer classes you can attend, which I can link my home buyer class on YouTube for you guys to watch, which I go through the entire pre-approval process all the way down to closing on your first home. But again, contacting someone and talking and asking questions so that you can kind of get a feel of where you are right now. And if there's anything that you need to do to get pre-approved or get ready to buy a home, you can work on those things way before your lease is up or whatever your timeline may be. So again, tip number 1, make sure you do your research beforehand. Tip number 2, you don't have to get pre-approved with the bank that you actually bank with. Now, by default, a lot of people think that when they go get pre-approved that they have to use the bank that they bank with. So like a Wells Fargo, US Bank, TCF, whatever the case may be. But if you were to go with a smaller bank like a local lender or even a credit union, sometimes you can typically get a better rate than using those bigger banks because the local lenders have less not qualifications, but they're a little bit more flexible than those bigger banks are with what they will accept as far as like credit scores and down payments, all that other stuff. So if you were to go to a local bank, you may have an easier time qualifying for a little bit more or even have a lower interest rate. Another potential con with working with some of those bigger banks is that because they're bigger, they typically have different sections of the pre-approval process or the loan process divided into different departments, meaning that you may end up working with multiple people and it can get confusing sometimes. Now, again, not all big banks are like this, but I have had situations to where you don't really know who you should be reaching out to answer your questions, or departments don't talk to one another and things can get fall through the cracks, which with a local lender typically you're working with that specific person the entire way through, so you already know that when you have questions you know who your point of contact is. It just makes things a lot smoother. But again, not all banks are like this. This is just some of the things that I've dealt with personally. All right, tip number 3, this is a big one. Focus on the monthly payment, not the price of the house. Now, I know a lot of you are probably scratching your head like, why would I not pay attention to the price of the house? Well, for an example, and I'm going to start throwing out a bunch of numbers here, so hopefully I can speak slow so that you guys understand it. So let's take a $350,000 house at a 4% interest rate. Your monthly payment would be about $2,300 a month. Now take a $300,000 house at a 6% interest rate, and your monthly payment is around $2,330. Now you're like, wait a minute, cheaper house, it actually has a higher payment than the $350,000 house. Well, that's because the interest rate can affect your monthly payment a lot more than your actual price does. So as you can see, a 2% interest rate makes that $300,000 house actually more expensive than the $350,000 house. So when people are looking at the price of homes going up like they are right now because of demand, but they're also seeing the interest rates go up, well, if you're waiting for prices to go down, you're actually making it more expensive for yourself to buy in the future, because if interest rates keep going up, even with a $50,000 decrease in that house, your monthly payment is actually going to be even more than it would have been if you would have just spent the extra $50,000 on that house. Tip number 4, pick a realtor that you can trust. Now, it's safe to say that you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on this home, so you really want someone representing you that actually has your best interest at heart and that you know you can trust with your finances, negotiating, and everything that they're doing on your behalf. It's really important when picking a realtor that you want to do your due diligence. So what I mean by that is you want to do your research. You want to look at online reviews, see what past clients are saying about this person. Check social media handles. What kind of person is this? Are their personalities kind of similar to yours? Do you feel like you can work with this person? Do you feel like this person is trustworthy? Because again, at the end of the day, when you have so much money on the line, you really want to make sure that you're comfortable working with someone that knows what they're talking about, answers your questions, and makes you feel good. This is not a cheap process, and you really want to be confident in your decisions. And the last tip number 5, is ask questions. Now, this is probably super obvious, but believe it or not, a lot of people think that they're bothering their realtor or annoying their realtor by asking so many questions. Now, I don't know about you, but I love working with first-time home buyers. I love answering their questions because I was there at that point. I didn't have my license yet when I bought my first home, didn't know anything about the process, and I sure asked my realtor a bunch of questions because at the end of the day, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're signing contracts, you don't know what any of this stuff means. So you really want to feel confident and comfortable that you know what's going on, you know what you're doing, and you know what you're getting into. So ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. And that is it for today's video. As always, I'm really hoping you guys found this information useful. And if you did, make sure to please hit the like button below. But also, my goal is to make sure that I'm giving you guys useful information every single week on all real estate related topics. So if you have a burning real estate question that you want answered, make sure to leave a comment below on what that question is. And if I get enough people saying the same thing, I'll make a video on it. But until then, I will see you guys in the next one next week. And this is Brandon, aka your favorite Minnesota Realtor. I'll see you later.